Hey, what's up everyone? It's your girl Brainy Shanae, and today I'll be doing a book review for this amazing book right here, which is called You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke and Emezi. So if you want to know what my thoughts of this book and what is my rating for this book and just everything about this book, please stay tuned. Okay everyone, so like I said, I'm gonna be doing a book review for this book alone, and from the jump, I love this book. I love Akwaeke Emezi's work. Their writing is amazing. Their writing has no limitations. There's no limits. Their writing is limitless. And when I found out they were writing this book and that it was going to be released this year, I was super excited, and I just loved this cover on top of it. It's just beautiful and mesmerizing. I just love everything about this book. But anyway, this is a romance book, and we're following a girl named Faye. Of course, her best friend is Joy in this book. And Faye has gone through a lot. She hasn't been dating anyone for the past 5 years due to a car accident and what had happened to her and her husband. And ever since then, she hasn't been dating anyone, not wanting to do anything with anyone. But then something happened where, you know, her best friend said she needed to get out there. So she found a guy named Milan, and literally, like, there was no type of relationship or nothing between them. It was just they had that one time together, and, you know, of course they had sex. And Behi didn't think anything of it. She didn't like Milan in that type of way either. I think it was just, like I said, hit and quit it, right? Like, she had nothing else to do with Milan. She just, like, it was what it was, and that was it. And of course there was other things with that one time that she failed to mention to her best friend Joy until, like, later on down the line, what had happened between Faye and Milan, where there was no protection, and her best friend Joy was going off on her. And when I say I love Joy in this book, I love Joy. She keeps it 100, but then she also has her things that she's going on with too, like with her relationships, and she's dating a woman that is married. So Joy is also you know, Joy has no right to judge Faye, right? They're experiencing their own things when it comes to relationships and what they're going through. So Joy is like, you know what, do you, boo, just do you, because Joy knows that she can't judge, right? She cannot judge Faye for her actions. She did take Joy's advice, and, you know, she found someone, and that was that. But then she realized that Milan wasn't really like a relationship type deal. Like, she thought that it could possibly turn out to be one, but that was not the case. And then his best friend Nasir comes into the picture, and he likes her. He's seen her before. He realized that he was with Milan, but, you know, since they weren't together anymore, he shot his shot, right, to get with Faye. And, you know, they had an understanding. You know, they're just start out with, you know, as friends, right? Just date, you know, go to dinner and stuff as dates, but nothing is attached. There's no sex involved or anything. They just want to be friends. See how the relationship as a friendship goes, right? So Nasir had invited her to go to the islands with him because, you know, that's where he's from, and that's where his father is and his sister and everything. So they go there. And she was like, oh my God, this is going to be so much fun. You know, Nasir and Faye are still friends, mind you. And so when they go to the islands, Faye realizes that Nasir's father is this famous celebrity chef. And she was like, oh my God, Joy's going to love him. Oh my God, I can't wait when she comes out here to meet him, and, you know, all that good stuff. So after that, she finally gets to meet Nasir's father, Alim, and immediately I feel like she had a connection with him. Like, first off, she was considering him as really sexy and stuff like that. She became like really into him that, like, instantly. And Nasir is crazy because I felt like he could have caught on, like, realized it between them, but I feel like he had no clue, or he was just oblivious to the whole situation, which is fine. But I feel like how Faye was so, like, descriptive about Alim and stuff, and how she saw, like, when she saw him for the first time, I would think Nasir would have, you know, would, like, visually see what was going on. But obviously he didn't. So, you know, Faye was having a good time. Alim had made her this beautiful, gorgeous dinner where it was not only like delicious, but it like the sensory of it all, of like the food was just amazing. Like Faye was just enthralled with Alim, like I said, instantly. But the food and all that stuff, it definitely got her thinking about him more than Nasir, because Nasir and her were just friends, right? So anyways, as she's at this island, she's also an artist, and she also came out, and some people saw her artwork and stuff like that. And so Pooja was telling her she should just stay, do some more artwork and have it presented and stuff like that, and I have a commission. So of course Faye stayed in the islands, and then Nasir had to take had some like a job circumstances. He had to go to do something with his work in Antigua, so he had left Femi with Alim at their home, even though Pooja insisted, oh yeah, you could stay at the, you know, at the hotel and whatnot. But Faye decided to like, no, I'll just stay at Nasir's house, and his dad is cool, right? Bad mistake, Nasir. Bad mistake to leave your best friend, who you want to eventually have a relationship with, with your father. But there was definitely signs there that Nasir, like I said, could have picked up, but he didn't. Like the whole sunrise thing, climbing up the mountain to see the sunrise. Nasir or his sister Lorraine didn't want to do that. So, but Faye wanted to. So they were up at the hill with Faye was up at the hill with Alim and everything like that. And I think that's when they started to have this connection, especially when they talk about grief, and how Alim, when it came to his wife, which is Nasir's mother, had passed away because she had drowned, and that was 20 years ago. And she started to express what happened to her those 5 years ago with Jonah, her husband, and stuff. And I feel like the grief that they had that connection for each other because they knew how it felt to lose the love of their lives, right? And I think that's what mostly connected them. It was not all just about looks. Like, yeah, I get it. Looks for people when it comes to relationship is definitely important. But I feel like the grief that they had when they had lost their loved ones had made a difference. So right then and there, I think Alim also was having a connection with Faye, and things just took place where, like, Faye was fantasizing about him when she was sleeping and all this other stuff. And then, you know, eventually they come together about how they feel about each other. And, you know, things got heated where they started kissing each other. Nothing had happened. And then Faye started to have some regrets about it all because, you know, I'm here with, you know, your son brought me here, you know, Nasir, and I don't know how they would feel. Like, how is your son and your daughter going to take this if we're together? Like, we just kissed. We pretty much are like disheveling your life, Alim. And he's like, I don't care. And I feel like losing somebody and then they're gone for 20 years, I feel like you want to be happy. And there were rumors of Alim. Of course, he fell in love with a man. And so I feel like his Nasir and Lorraine, like his son and daughter, they tried to clear that up for him, and that love that he had with that person just did not happen. It did not work out. So he did explain that to Faye, and Faye didn't care. Like, she didn't judge him for that whatsoever, and I love that. Like, there's no judgment in this book, and I love it. And then to top it off, like, I think he'd rather be happy and then let Nasir and Lorraine deal with it as time goes on. Because eventually, through time, you know, you heal, your soul heals, you heal mentally and physically, right? And so Alim was more like ready to just be with Faye, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the consequences of what would happen if they were to be together. That was still in the back of Faye's back of her head, but she really wanted to be with him. She truly wanted to be with him. And then, of course, there was a moment where they did end up having sex, and that was prior to when Nasir and Lorraine found out about the relationship through their one of the workers at the house. I think he's like the gardener or something. I don't remember completely, but I believe that's correct. And like Nasir was going off, like, are you serious? I brought her here. Why would you do that to me? And Alim, you know, he didn't really have an answer. He just said it happened. And Nasir was just so pissed at Faye calling her a whore and all this other stuff, saying that he should have seen this coming, especially how she did Milan and all this other stuff. Like, yeah, I should have connected the dots. And just, he was shaming her. And Faye was obviously hurt by that. But at the end of the day, Nasir and Lorraine sort of, you know, they were trying to just be happy in a sense for their dad, even though they were not happy about the situation with Faye and himself, Alim. But I loved the connection between Faye and Alim. I can only imagine, like, if I lost my husband and he was gone for 5 years, how would I be? Like, right now, as I'm saying this, like, I feel like if I lost my husband, I wouldn't want to be with anybody else, right? And I think that is what Faye also believed as well. But as time goes on, you still want someone that has been there with you, has been through grief with you, has experienced things that just other people wouldn't understand unless it happened to them. And Faye, I can say, is very brave. Stepping into a new relationship, not knowing where it would go. I mean, he is older, and of course she's younger. It's definitely an age gap. But that didn't matter between them, and that's amazing as well. Love has no bounds, and you cannot control who you fall in love with. And I love this book so much. It was very short, but it was so good in just these 370 pages. This was really good. My favorite character is Joy, but I do love Faye and Alim because of relationship and what they want to develop with each other. And also in the last couple of pages, Faye realizes, like, I'm living in Wonderland, but I still have to go back to reality and go back to Brooklyn. And Faye told Alim, like, hey, I have to go back home eventually, probably in the next couple days, couple weeks. And Alim was like, I will go with you. And that is amazing. Like, he's like, I have other restaurants, I have other endeavors that I can do. You know, we have time. And I loved that. I love that about Alim, because he's willing to do whatever it takes to still be with Faye, even if she has to leave and go back home. And that's love right there. That is love. But most importantly, at the very end of the book, they confess their love for each other. And I definitely want to read this part in the page. It's on page 277, which is like pretty much the last page. Well, the last page is technically 278, but it's like really short. But it says, which I love this. Now, mind you, Faye doesn't plan on having kids. She doesn't want kids. And Alim had a vasectomy. So just to let y'all know about those details. Sorry about the spoilers, but yeah, I have to let y'all know this. But it says, let's see. Alim kissed her temple gently. Not yet, he said. It depends. Faye wasn't ready to process what he just told her. How could he be in love with her? Then again, how could she be in love with him? It was easier to fall back on logistics. I don't know if I'd get married again, she said. I guess it depends. What was your second question? Would you mind if I came back to Brooklyn with you? This time, Faye stopped in her tracks, even as the music continued around them. What? Just for a short visit. I know I have to come home and do some work with Nasir and Lorraine, but I want you. I want us to know that this is real, that it survives the mountain, that it can cross the sea and still be there in our hearts. Faye stared up at him. Alim lifted her hand to his mouth and kissed it. I'm in love with you, he said again. I love you, Faye. I love how you skin fear and move through it. I love how you lean into grief and somehow use it to be even more alive. You've shifted my whole world, brought me light and company and a joy I forgot I could feel. I am not letting a little distance get in the way of this. Faye had thought the bursting in her chest couldn't take up more space, but it stretched through her limbs, rushing warmth into her hands and feet. And you'd want to get married? In time, he said, only if you want to. I'm happy just to be with you, however you'll have me. Nasir and Lorraine would never go for it, Alim. Alim pulled her back into their slow step, spinning her around and collecting her into his arms. Oh well, he said, his voice light. Maybe one day. What does it matter when we love each other? He nuzzled her neck and jagged bolt of electricity sped through Faye's skin. Imagine that, Faye. We're alive, and I love you. Faye felt tears sharp behind her eyes. He was right. I love you, she said, and it sounded truer the second time because it was mirrored. They were together on it. Alim inhaled a rough breath. What a fucking blessing, he said, wonder filling his words. Thank you for coming into my home. Faye laughed softly. I can't wait for you to see mine. He was coming home with her. They were going home together. Fuck, I have no idea how we're going to do this. That's fine, my love. Alim's breath was warm against her skin. We have time. And that last page, so beautiful. So well done. And like I said, when it comes to Akwaeke Emezi's books, like, they are, like, their writing is timeless, it's limitless, and I love it. They have written every single genre, and like, I am just, of course, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved everything about it. I had nothing wrong or have nothing bad to say about this book whatsoever. If you haven't picked up this book, I suggest you do so. It's beautifully done, beautifully written. It's mesmerizing. It's worth it. Like, man, love this book. Like, like Faye and Alim. It's just, there's hope. Like, if you had lost someone long ago and you're married to that person and you're second guessing if you should try to find love again because you feel like you're betraying that person, you know, that had moved on, that had passed away, I feel like eventually you might think that you're not betraying them because that, you know, that person will want you to be happy at the end of the day. They will want you to still live your life. And Alim and Faye, it makes sense. Like, I know what it was some messy situations in this book, but at the end of the day, like I said, you can't control who you fall in love with. It happens. And she really wasn't really thinking about having a relationship with Nasir to begin with. They were just friends. And I know that his pride, and he was just sore, you know, that the person that he brought home, she ends up falling for his dad. Like, I get it. That's definitely some messy shit. But, you know, Faye wasn't really falling for Nasir. I'm just gonna say she was not falling for him. It was mostly on a friendship basis. And literally, when she saw Alim, things changed. And for her to say that she loved him and he loved her, just icing on the cake. Like, just love this book. It's so beautiful. Like this romance book was everything for me. And I definitely plan on reading the rest of their books. I still need to read Freshwater, Dear Synthrin, and I still need to read Bitter, which I do plan on reading that possibly next month. Man, their writing is so beautiful. And just those last couple pages that I shared with you, like the writing and how Alim and Faye and their connection, regardless of the circumstances of their lives or what they have to do, they will find time for each other. And he even says, we have time at the end, because they do. And he's willing to do whatever it takes to be with Faye, and her the same. And I just love this book. So, so beautiful. Akwaeke Emezi, their writing, so beautiful, so fucking beautiful. But yeah, like I said, I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. If you haven't picked up this book just yet, I suggest you do so, because you're missing out. Like I said, I'm definitely going to be reading the rest of their works. I know that Ari has stated that they are going to be taking a hiatus since it released. They're taking a hiatus for a year, I believe, and then they're going to be coming out with something else. So I'm definitely excited for what Akwaeke Emezi has in store for us all, for us readers. But yeah, that is my book review. It wasn't too long, but like, this book isn't long at all, but it's so sweet, so simple, so beautifully written, and the cover is gorgeous. But yeah, that is my book review. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Also, hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified when I upload more videos in the future. But thank you so much for watching, you guys, and please stay healthy and stay safe. See ya.